My first compound was a Bear Indian little wheel bow, and at 20 yards I had to aim about right up here, about just below the sun, and then I could arc an arrow in at 20 yards, and increased FOC eventually is going to get you right back to that,
Right.
So, but yeah, I think you can get overboard on anything you do, right?
So one of the, I guess, trends going around the industry for bow hunters at least is the high momentum, high FOC arrow builds. Ranch Fairy, the hunting public, all those guys have gotten on that train from Dr. Ashby, who through probably the 90s, or was he doing stuff in the 80s?
I think he was doing stuff earlier than that. Yeah,
Really? Okay.
I think so.
So he has a ton of information out there on arrow builds, really heavy stuff.
Adult arrows.
Yeah,
adult arrows. Mainly doing things in different tests on African game. Really big game that takes that your stuff has to be pretty precise. But I feel like this FOC stuff guys are just gotten way overboard with what they're trying to do. But to some degree, having the proper FOC is going to help your arrow flight. That broadhead is going to, or that front weight is going to pull your arrow and allow it to be more accurate. What kind of parameters on your setup do you really need to look at? Is 10% FOC, 13%? I mean, there's guys that want 20.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Ashby recommends 19 to 20, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
He's higher. If you look at a lot of articles, they're going to all falter around that 10 to 15%, with 13 being the average. You'll see 13% a lot. That's where I like to be. But you can get overboard. But what are you sacrificing if you do have 20% FOC? You're sacrificing your distance, right? You're not going to sacrifice penetration. You could shoot through a milk truck, So I mean, really. It just boils down to what are you doing with your bow? Are you a tree stand guy or ground guy shooting at a water hole that's only 20 yards in front of you, or are you taking long shots? Are you out west after elk? I mean, my first compound was a Bear Indian little wheel bow, and at 20 yards I had to aim about right up here, about just below the sun, and then I could arc an arrow in at 20 yards, and increased FOC eventually is going to get you right back to that,
Right.
So. But yeah, I think you can get overboard on anything you do, right? In the archery industry, it's easy to go up and down and all over. I mean, you just look at how bows have cycled. We go into 2-cam, solo cam, single cam, cams, cam and a half, dual cam, and everything comes back around again. Well, it's no different than momentum and FOC. It's coming back around again, but because speed has ruled for years. It has ruled for years. For the last 15 years, speed has been king, and now finally momentum and FOC is coming back, which is a really good thing. But just like you said, it does not take much for you to get in your head and get overboard when you don't really need to.
So you mentioned that 13% FOC being average, and it made me smile because it's, I guess a couple months ago, Cameron and I are in the office, and we're talking about arrow builds, and like, oh, we gotta start, bear shaft tuning, we got knock tune, we gotta tune our inserts, we gotta order these field point kits and shoot anything from 100 grains to 300 grains. We gotta figure out. And about after a week, I'm like, screw this. Like, my setup last year would have killed anything I shot. Like, why am I changing anything? Right. So then once I started measuring my actual setup without changing anything, I'm right at like 13.7 or something, just under 14% FOC. But I guess my question is, I know I have no arrow flight issues with that out to 50, 60 yards, completely fine. But when you start looking at FOC, does like a 10%? Like, I guess my question is, I'm not framing this up very good, but for an arrow setup to shoot the same head at like 10% FOC, is there going to be a significant difference in flight other than trajectory when you have like something like 20% FOC?
Well, yeah, you're going to see a little bit of flight difference. It may even change your accuracy if your bow's not tuned. You can definitely run into some issue. But anytime you have that stiffer arrow spine and you're getting out to longer distances, you can change your accuracy really easy. Everything in the archery industry is variable, no matter if you're changing speed, KE, weight, FOC. Everything is variable. It's just that what does that percentage mean to you in your personal setup and what you're hunting and how you're hunting.